So now we're looking at topic 3, which is the measurement and monitoring of fitness and energy components relevant to performance. So the key ideas here that we're looking at is understanding the roles of fitness testing and measurement and monitoring of fitness, understanding the key fitness components and tests, e.g. the standardised and the other, and the application of the information of data towards the improvement and maintenance of performance. So more or less what we're doing is understanding fitness testing and its relation to energy systems and fitness components, and then how do we use that information to be then able to construct fitness programs to make sure our athletes can improve their performance. So why are these fitness tests used? Now we can see here the 3 different colours. So the first one, the yellow, we're looking at being able to identify strengths and weaknesses of the athlete. So this is before, during and after the competition. So looking at the fitness components that need to be improved and the fitness components that need to be maintained. So what is it the athlete that needs to have improved or maintained? Now we next need to be able to evaluate the effectiveness of this training program on the athlete's performance. So more or less looking at the training program and see whether it is working. Is it improving these athletes' particular energy systems or fitness components? So this requires a test to be done to determine a starting level, and then subsequently whether to see whether the improvement has been made or not. So we do it during the training program, the end of the training program. So it can also be used to motivate that athlete to strive for further improvement when applicable. So if we're looking at undertaking a training program, we can do the test at the start, and then it gives the athlete little goals within that training program to be able to meet. So if they see improvement, they're going to be more motivated to be able to continue on and then train harder. So the tests need to be relevant to that specific activity or sport and the energy demands and the fitness factors involved. They need to be valid, so the tests need to be of value and applicable to that game, activity or sport, and they need to be reliable. So the data collected needs to be able to be measured against each other, or the 2 different sets. So whether you do it at the start of the training program, whether you do it at the end or the middle, they need to be able to get consistent data from those tests. So here we can see through the energy systems, the ATP-CP tests, the lactic acid tests, and the aerobic tests. What we'll do is we'll just watch a little video and I'll talk you through some of these different tests. So here we're looking at the 20-metre shuttle test, or the beat test. We're obviously looking at the fitness component of muscular endurance and predominantly cardiovascular endurance. It's known as maximal test because we're actually pushing our body to be able to continually increase the intensity. This one looks at a reactionary test, so it tests your body's ability to transmit nerve impulses from your eyes and then coordinate with that hand-eye to be able to hit. This is a maximum lift, so we're testing the athlete's ability to perform 1 maximal rep. So measuring strength and power. Here we're looking at the Illinois agility run. So your ability to change direction at speed over a small course. So this works in predominantly your PC and towards your lactic acid system as well. Here we're measuring flexibility with our sit and reach. So we can undertake this one as well. It's best to do this after you've warmed up so that your muscles have a bit more stretch in them. Here we're looking at a test of balance and flexibility. You can see the athlete there is balancing on 1 foot and performing a number of movements. Here we're looking at a muscular endurance, being able to do as many chin-ups as you can in a row, but also testing your ability, so your strength of your body to be able to pull up all that weight. But ultimately we're looking at a muscular endurance. Here we're looking at power, standing broad jump. So from a stationary position to be able to jump as far as you can. So a question can be, when should these tests be used during a training program? And we'll look at it when we look at more at our training methods and principles. But these tests are used in different part of a season. So a season's broken up into 3 phases. So we have a pre-season phase, a competition phase, and a recovery phase. So not without going into too much detail, your pre-season phase is looking at building a basis of fitness, competition looking at maintaining that, and recovery phase looking at tapering off a bit and making sure that our body stays in some sort of condition to be able to then start your pre-season phase. So we'll just go through, explain the purpose of a test in week 2 of pre-season. We'll be looking to gauge the fitness level of our players after the post-season. So it might be a starting point, looking at where the coach needs to make an emphasis of their training program, whether it's building up cardiovascular endurance, it might be working on speed, it might be working on power. So the purpose of test 2 in week 4 of pre-season may be to gauge if that trainee is actually achieving that program goal. So is the initial activities in our training program actually improving that aspect of fitness? And the function of the test conducted in week 1 of the recovery season is to again gauge that fitness levels at the end of the season to see maybe how much you've lost in the post-season recovery, or just to gauge where we can start again. All right, so if we're looking at good tests of fitness components, the below table shows things like cardiovascular endurance. We have our multi-stage fitness test, our Cooper's 12-minute run, our cycle test. Things like flexibility, sit and reach test. Things like muscular endurance, we have our 60-second push-up or sit-up test. Muscular strength, we have our repetition bench press, our use of grip strength dynamometers and things like that. So things that you guys have been exposed to throughout your schooling. These are other ones, so body composition, agility, Illinois agility test, a balance, a muscular power, a speed, and a coordination. Now, these tests are standardised fitness tests. So if you're looking at answering something in an exam, you'd want to talk about standardised fitness tests. However, if we can control what we are doing, you can run any sort of test for any sort of sport. So, for example, if you're doing a netball type activity program, then you might have something that involves the passing or the netball movements that is not necessarily specific to the Illinois agility test. As long as you keep it consistent, you can use it as a measuring point. However, these are the ones that we want to talk about in our own exams. All right, so here we're looking at the use of battery tests to measure athletic performance. So tests usually used in groups to analyse the many demands involved in a sport or activity. Example is a good one. So we have Test 1, which is a sit and reach, so we're measured as good. Test 2, which is Illinois agility run, which is measured as good. Test 3 and 4, we can see, which is a 50-metre sprint and vertical jump, we're measured as average. Yet test 5, 6 and 7, which we've got the sit-ups, the muscular strength, and the multi-stage fitness tests, we're measured as excellent in each. So, identify the fitness components that we're looking at here. So, if we go back, if we're looking at sit and reach, we're looking at flexibility. If we're looking at Illinois, we're looking at agility. If we're looking at the sprint, probably looking at speed, but elements of power. Vertical jump, definitely power. The 60-second sit-up test, we're looking at muscular endurance. The strength, with the dynamometer, we're looking at the strength there. And the multi-stage fitness test, we're looking at cardiovascular endurance. So we can see this athlete has reasonable cardiovascular endurance, they have reasonable muscular strength of the hand, and they have good muscular endurance. However, the speed and power is probably where they're lacking. Identify and explain a sport or activity this test was designed to assess. Any sport where cardiorespiratory endurance, strength, muscle endurance, flexibility, agility are the physiological requirements. So it's not necessarily it's designed to that, but we can measure and say that this athlete would be good in those particular areas. So because they measured excellent in the muscular endurance, strength, and the cardiovascular endurance, we could look at pointing them towards that sport or suggest that those are the particular areas of that sport that they will be best suited to. All right. So now in terms of what questions we need to answer, we're looking at pages 83 to 89. So we're looking at pages 83 to 89. Those are the ones we want to go through, and then we'll discuss those results.